Hey, so welcome back to another CPI Thoughtcast. I'm here with Alexis from Retail
O-Tones, exactly.
Damn, you just told me if you had the same issue, and there I go. I'm always looking at Retail O-Tones.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Now, I'm feeling the pressure here because Alexis is actually a podcast host, and so I'm amateur hour here, right? You might have to teach me a thing or two.
I'm very curious to hear what you've heard during this show and what trends you caught up, because I haven't been around too much yet. So maybe you could teach me something.
Well, you know what? I might be in the same boat because I've been stuck in this gold thing for
That's amazing.
3 days. But yeah, we can get into that. So tell us a bit more about yourself. Tell us about your channel.
Perfect. Yeah. So my name is Alexis. I'm a retail reporter and content creator. That means that I look into retail technology in brick and mortar stores. So I'm super niche down because I think you cannot be omni-channel, to put it like this. I think it's super important to focus on one main area, and my main area is checkout, payment, and loyalty. And loyalty means the marketing around it as well a bit. So retail media are kind of a part of it. So I'm looking into what kind of data points do we generate in store to retarget customers, for example. How can we make a super fast and seamless checkout? Like, I've been working in a Scan and Go startup for quite a while.
Right.
So I've implemented Scan and Go mobile applications, and I saw how employees struggled monitoring this new technology, explaining this new technology. But I've also seen customers being like, I don't need that. Like, why is this better than what we've done before? Like, I could go shopping before as well. And this is the motivation why I am still in retail after 10 years, and I really love to look into how technology impacts people. That means customers and employees. That's my angle at Retail O-Tones.
It's great. So you've niched down in terms of subject matter. How about regions? Where are you popular? Where do you hang out?
Mostly German-speaking countries. So Switzerland, Germany, sometimes Austria. Haven't been there for a while. But mostly German-speaking countries, just because most of my network is here at the moment. But I'm expanding my network to Europe as well, because I really want to learn more about how the next generation retail looks like. And to be completely fair, we just have to look to our neighbor countries here in Germany, so Poland, Czech Republic. Absolutely crazy what they put up. If we look at Zapka, for example, they and their Go formats, they're just putting a bar when it comes to, they're setting up a bar when we talk about smart stores, for example. Of course, they have different legal framework. However, they're still doing it. And in Germany, usually we find reasons to restrict innovation. So it's great to look to the east, look to the Nordics, to the north, and also to Southern Europe. To just see what's going on innovation-wise and how a rollout can actually affect the retail business and the retail landscape.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's great. So in terms of your audience then, who are you targeting? Who do you, is it retailers? Is it tech providers? Is it a little bit of everybody? What, consumers? Like, what's the main audience?
So since I've been working in B2B all the time, I'm sticking with my style to B2B companies. Mostly I do this for the retail experts, or for those who want who aim to be retail experts. That means that I'm talking mostly to retailers in my podcast, for example, because I think they're implementing new technology within their stores, within their whole company. So they are feeling the real pain, and they are a bit more honest and not overselling so much compared to when I talk with vendors. So I want retail to learn from each other, retailers to learn from each other, because I know that sometimes they are not allowed to speak to each other because they're competitors and they're taking something away. At least that's the common idea. But I want to be this neutral platform that actually connects people through knowledge. So I do LinkedIn live videos. That means that when I'm live, I'm publishing, okay, I'm live with this retailer talking about this topic, and it's not the CIO, it's the product owner. So if you have questions to the product owner, how they did it, just join the chat, join the live video, and then me as a moderator, I can see the questions, and then I can still filter whether it is a good question to ask my retailer, because they're still guests, so I want to protect them as well. And it's live. So I do kind of the intermediate work.
Yeah.
So the podcast is for retailers, for retail enthusiasts, also for vendors that are interested to get a different angle maybe and try to understand their customers, the retailers better.
That's fascinating and actually makes a lot of sense. So we ran a self-checkout conference in Texas last year. We invited some partners and some retailers. And the retailers, what they wanted most out of that was to learn from each other. That was the biggest thing. So it's great that you're doing that. You found that once they start learning from other retailers, they really enjoy that?
Absolutely. And I've already had retailers, like speakers, coming back to me being like, okay, so through the podcast, through the reach that we had, other retailers approached me and we could have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
Because with retail, the people that you usually see on the big stages are the big names. But we know that the retail companies have so many people working on the projects. So I'm aiming on getting, even, as I said, not top level, but people that are actually doing the projects. So we understand a bit better what do they need in the daily life to have an easier work environment. So for example, when we have a product owner, how does a product owner decide which next application milestone he's going to go for? So why A and not B? Why are we going for self-checkout without a cash module, or why are we going with? So, and since I'm talking to vendors as well, I understand what kind of tech landscape we have. So I can connect pieces and dots with each other. But the big advantage of me talking to everybody is I can ask better questions. I can be kind of the neutral person that asks questions ahead. So
that people can trust because there's no agenda behind it, right?
Exactly. So I'm always saying I am neutral, but I still have an opinion.
Yeah.
That means that if there is something that I do not like, I do not like. And I see, like, if I see, okay, there is a blind spot. So for example, okay, so what about offline connectivity? There is no online payment without online. And then sometimes I get the question, yeah, well, but there is a backup. So in reality, has this been implemented? So if I would pull off Wi-Fi now, what would happen? So that's the question. So I'm asking the questions that hurt. Yeah, well, I look nice, but I'm not. No, but that's exactly the point. So I try to get the truth, and I also try to get emotions back into retail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because in my experience, we're talking about tech and tech use cases, but we do not talk enough about the people that are actually using the technology.
Mm. Interesting.
What is your angle on that?
On how people are using technology?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did that change?
How did what change?
How did the perception of technology change?
Recently? Mm-hmm. I think, well, it's a very Yeah, let's ask the question. I was like, apparently you asking me questions.
Sorry.
I was thinking about the next question. Yeah, obviously it's really important. You see, there's so much technology here. I think the biggest problem, and we've talked about this a little bit, is there's so much technology for retailers to consider, and they've only got a certain budget, loads of different priorities. It's like, how do they choose the right technology to invest in? So I think the stuff that you're doing, and obviously shine a light on that, probably helps with that, right? Because they're really delving deeper into these areas when they've got so much choice. And I think that's certainly a big challenge for tech providers like us, is like, how do we become front and center to all these retailers? So it's obviously a challenge for everybody here.
And I think that's why marketing and sales have to work strongly together, because sales usually do not attend marketing meetings, and marketing is meant to solve all the problems and bring in all the leads. But I do content consulting as well. Mm-hmm. So I always get both parties on the table, and then they're like, why can't we do just two separate meetings? I'm like, no, because I need both parties to understand how important the other party is, because it's marketing and not smart marketing, which is
marketing,
sales and marketing. Yes. I heard this today for the first time. I was like,
no, I'm not saying no.
So, but in the end, because sales is getting the questions, like here on the trade show, for example, people are getting, like salespeople are getting asked the same questions more or less all the time.
Yeah.
So why not create material that shows the benefits or that answers, preempts these kind of questions right beforehand? I mean, this is when we go into the whole field of thought leadership. This is where I understand who you are without knowing who you are, just by what kind of LinkedIn content you do or what kind of presentation you have on the stages. It's like, tell me what you say. Like,
You missed my presentation.
I missed your presentation. Yes, I missed your presentation. So I'm very, very, very happy that I did. Not because I didn't listen to, not because I didn't listen to your context, but I had a very valuable inside talk with someone else that I haven't seen for a while. So
fair enough. I'll let you off. So what you were doing here at Eurosys? What was your main kind of role been here?
Yes, so I have 2 roles here at Eurosys. The very first one was I have been the moderator for the startup stage. That gave me the opportunity to listen to the upcoming startups with their technology and their energy. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes I had a new impulse on sustainability, on AI in retail, mostly about data generation within the store. Basically these were the majority of the topics. And then the second one is, I said I am a content creator. So I got booked by a company to do their customer journey. So I said, hey, I'm Alexis. Today I'm shopping here. So I'm walking through, and afterwards we have an analytical talk about, okay, what were the different touch points that I've touched within this customer journey, and not what part of that is your solution, but we went to do thought leadership, being like, okay, so what kind of gains, what kind of insights do we get through that? And how does that benefit the retailer? Does it save money? Does it upsell products? Give me numbers on how this actually increases productivity. Or how does it make life easier for people? And me as a customer, how does that make me feel? And what benefits do I have? So I try to get all these different angles when I create content for vendors.
I love that. That's great. So I'm going to ask you a tricky question now. Be like choosing your favorite child. So you introduced all these startups on the stage. Was there anyone in particular that you thought, that's really interesting, that's kind of your favorite?
My favorite startup? That's tough. That's very tough. Should have told me that beforehand. I should have thought about that.
Is there any interest in tech? Who do you think is doing something really interesting in the tech space and in retail that you've come across? Maybe at the show, maybe outside of the show.
You mean in general, or?
Yeah, just an area, because obviously we hear AI, computer vision, we've got trying to make shelf labels, we've got everything here.
Yeah,
What's most interesting to you at all?
There are depending on which area we're talking about, it's different. Something that I really love is that the company Glory is going more into tech-driven cash recycling. Is that the wrong one?
Opposite. Right. I'll take it. Go for it.
So what I really love is that I had this interview. So Glory is a supporter of my podcast. So through that, I had the opportunity to talk to the MTech about their cash recycler and how the data they get out of that has influenced their processes, like talking about maintenance, about how much money, how much cash you actually have to carry from A to B. You know the topic, just for you guys. So apart from that, I think the nicest thing or the brightest thing I've seen here is the whole topic of wasting less food through analytics. And there are a couple of companies that do an amazing job with that. Just to name, for example, Retail Insight is one. Wasteless is amazing.
We interviewed Wasteless yesterday.
Yeah, exactly, David. So the episode will be shown prior anyways. So this is definitely something I recommend people to look into, because I think it's an absolute no-brainer that if you can implement a system that saves you money and saves the environment,
winner.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Absolutely.
I mean, exactly. And they have proof record, and this is something that's really important as well.
Yeah. So moving on to the overall macro retail market, what are some of the challenges for retailers in kind of 2024 and beyond, short term, long term? Give me your thoughts.
Priorities. I think just from how I perceive retail, there are some parts of retail that are super fast. And then we have aspects like S4 transformation that just take that time. That's just in the nature. So the kind of backbone structure of a company needs to be remodeled without affecting the everyday business. And this just eats up a lot of capacity within the companies. So there is no headspace, funny stuff. Yeah, I guess let's put it like this. So I cannot do great innovational stuff, to run pilots, if I do not have capacity for that. So I think the biggest and the toughest part, and this is where the whole AI wave comes in, there is always something new happening, like approaching you, whether it is a new technology opportunity or a competitor launching the Amazon Go phenomenon, where Amazon Go actually pushed the limits up towards a self-checkout or a seamless experience. And then you have to run. So you either think about how do you react to the market, or you are the one who changes the market. And that's, I think, a decision that has to be done from the very top. Mm-hmm. And they also have to think about how much money and how much like personal resources they want to allocate to that. Because if you're not a leader, or if you're not adapting super fast, I think in the future there will be either the top or nothing at all.
Interesting. Oh, what a depressing way to end.
Yeah, it's just maybe to add one more word to that. So innovation when it comes to process optimization, and this is wasting less food, having robots that clean during the night so that people don't have to, doing checkout solutions like scan and go, mobile scanning, self-checkout terminals. Oh, IKEA is opening the first 100% self-checkout terminal. Like, that's absolutely crazy. So this is absolutely changing the landscape of retail, and customer will slowly adapt to that.
Yeah.
So if you are Tante Emma Laden, as we say in German, so if you are just a tiny store and you don't take card, there will be a generation that will not buy at your store anymore because they're not carrying cash with them.
Yeah.
And then you will lose, and prices are increasing. So you need people in your store. You need traffic.
Yeah.
And if you don't offer the experience, if you don't have your processes right,
you're in trouble.
So I can just encourage everybody, look into innovation, invest into innovation. Do not expect the startups to know everything. Take them by the hand and co-create together.
Beautiful. That's a great ending. Hey, I've really enjoyed this chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you? What kind of channels are you working on? I'm
on YouTube, Retail O-Tones. Retail O-Tones is also available on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast. What else we have? And Alexis Tsingeni on LinkedIn, but I think we will link in the show notes. Anyways, if you want to join any of the live podcasts, the next season will start around end of March and the beginning of May, and there will be another one around September. Will be 8 to 10 episodes live. So if you want to join the live conversation, just follow me on LinkedIn, and then you will surely see the update.
You're brave doing live. I'm not sure I'm ready for live yet, but although this was live.
This was live.
Yeah, true. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.